I know that you are, you know, you got your finger on the pulse of things RV and the law related, but it seems like stuff is going on out in California that really is going to have an impact on people out there, and it's going to happen any moment now. What's happening in California?
Oh yeah, there's a bill that literally has gotten out of the legislature and is sitting on the governor's desk, and this law deals with massive changes to the California lemon law. Now, if RVers are living in other parts of the country, they may think it doesn't really matter to them, but that's another problem we'll talk about in a minute. But the first problem here is the California lemon law, because it covers RVs. And through a rather sneaky measure and tactics, the way they got it done, they managed to get this thing so that if the governor signs it, then there will be huge changes in the protections that anybody who buys a vehicle in California, a new vehicle, is going to lose a lot of legal rights.
Okay, so if he signs this bill, I don't need all the legalese and stuff, but if he signs the bill, it's going to change from what to what, generally speaking, if I'm an RV owner?
Best way to actually understand the huge difference in how we got there is to know what they did to get there, if you don't mind. Yeah. And basically, the way they did it was rather sneaky. Essentially, in the legislature, they had this bill that was pending that had worked its way through the legal process of the legislature and was about to be sent over to the governor. And it was a child custody law. Sounds like a good idea. And it was all set to go. And then on the sidelines, what we had was over here, we had General Motors in the RV industry wanting to make massive changes to the California lemon law. It's one of the strongest lemon laws, if not the strongest, in the entire country. Well, RVs are covered by it. And lately, there have been a lot of RV lawsuits being filed in California because the lemon law will cover them, and the RVs out there are no better than they are anywhere else. So you got GM and you got the RV industry over on the sideline trying to figure out what can we do here and how do we get this through the legislature, which is a rather liberal set of laws and legislators. How do we get it by them without them quite being aware of what's going on? Well, they figured out a way. What they did was they saw this child custody law that everybody, practically everybody, had already agreed would be a great law to pass because it'll change custody laws in such a way that in California, it'll be easier, better for the kids, better for the parents, better for the legal, better. Everybody liked it, okay?
Okay.
So it was all set to go to the governor's office. And so then all of a sudden, they got the RV industry and GM got a hold of their key people in the legislature and said, wait a minute, let's take that bill. So what did they do the bill? Well, think about it this way. They took this law and they said, well, let's take all the good stuff out of it. Now, what we got is a bill that doesn't have anything in it that amounts to anything. So what we'll do is we'll just simply pay, we'll make that a lemon law. So then they figured, okay, now we're going to get rid of a whole lot of legal rights, but we're going to give them a little bit. What do we give them? Well,
hey, hang on, Ron, hang on just a second. I'm trying to understand and follow you here.
Okay.
The child protection or whatever the child law that you initially talked about, are they trying to add this lemon law stuff to the back of that law? So, yes, is that what you're saying? All right, real quick, this bill that the governor may sign is not good for RVers. It is not. The best way to stop it from going through is for you to call his office and respectfully ask him to veto AB 1755. That's AB 1755. You want him to veto the bill. I'm going to put the governor's phone number on the screen here in a couple of seconds because I think it is super important that he hears from everyone who wants stronger consumer protection laws and not what RV manufacturers are pushing for. Please call his office. Ask him to veto AB 1755.
Well, they decided to do what's called a gut and amend. The gut part was to rip most of everything out of the law that was in there, leave the name of the bill, the number of it and everything the same, and then amend it in order to put all this lemon law stuff in. So essentially, they didn't kill the original. They just made it pretty meaningless for what was going on. And instead, they turned it into this.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that they created this thing that everybody can say, yeah, gung-ho, I support that on both sides of the aisle. They didn't change that. They just changed all the stuff that was in it, or much of the stuff that's in it. And because people have a short attention span and everybody wants to support the children, the manufacturers and the RV industry and General Motors, I guess, if they're all kind of acting along the same lines, they're going to benefit from this child law that's going to affect all RV owners out in California. Am I getting that right?
Sort of close to it. What they essentially did, this is called a gut and amend. They gut the law that's written into the bottle, so to speak, ripping out most of everything that would have ever been wanted by anybody. And then they amend what's left to put in what they want, which is all these changes to the Lemon Law, which essentially slam consumer rights and slam the Lemon Law and reduce it. In fact, these changes basically will take the Lemon Law back to where it was roughly 1970, 50 years ago. That's what it essentially is doing. That's how bad these amendments are going to be.
And this is imminent. I mean, this is happening the 1st of October, right? There's end of
September 30. The governor has to either veto it or he has to sign it by September 30. So there's a short window for people to get in there and do something about it. And the funny thing of it is, this was sort of a secret process, a hidden process that was going on that gutted one law and turned it fundamentally into a whole different thing, which wipes out a lot of Lemon Law rights. There's essentially 5 key things that it does.
Okay, a couple of things. One, the governor, there's no possible way that he can read everything, all the amendments, and I don't think. And so he's probably on autopilot. I'm assuming that he's on autopilot. Let's just assume he signs this new law, this new bill. How will that affect RVers, not just in California, but could it have some kind of a ripple effect across the country?
It probably will, because this is the first step. If they can get rid of the legal rights and the strongest law that there is, it'll be much easier to roll it downhill to the rest of the country. And what it does in California is, it just, if you buy an RV in California, which used to be a great place to buy it because you've got these extra Lemon Law rights that cover the whole RV. Well, if you buy one, if this law kicks in and you buy you buy an RV out there, you're not going to have anything close to the legal rights that you have right now. And a lot of people who actually live on the West Coast actually will drive over into California and make their buy there.
And all that's going to change. So how, if I'm an RV owner now, and I know that we all we can do is try to predict and, assume, but moving forward, let's just say the governor signs this bill. Do you think he's going to sign it?
A coin toss. There's a lot of business interests that are pushing it, because you got to remember, their Lemon Law doesn't just cover cars and trucks and RVs. It covers consumer products. So it's a broader law in the first place, which is why a lot of business out there would love to cut the knees off if they could.
Oh, I see. Call me negative, but it seems like to me that there'd be a ripple effect into other states. That if General Motors and the RV manufacturers, no, it's not just General Motors. The automotive industry builds great products. Most of them are great products. The RV industry, not so. And there's some good ones, but there's a lot of bad ones. And if they get to be protected, they're already building some pretty crappy stuff. What's going to give them any motivation or incentive to build a better product for the consumer?
Well, let me tell you some of the ways that this law is going to change, which will hurt RV buyers in California. Whether you live there or not, if you buy there, first of all, picture, if you will, they're putting this together, trying to figure out what can we do now to gut the Lemon Law so that we don't have to buy them back so much and we don't have to pay so much. So the first thing they do is they shorten the coverage length. Instead of having a Lemon Law that covers your vehicle for this long, they just cut it back to here. Even if the warranty runs longer, they don't care. So the result of it is you got to prove you got a lemon in that shorter time frame than you used to have. So you got less time to even work with it. But that was just the beginning. Then they decided, what's the next thing we can do? Well, we pay too much when we do lose. So let's reduce the amount of refunds that they can get, even when they're right, even when they go through any arbitration or mediation, or if they sue us and whatever, reduce the refunds so they can't get as much as they can now. That's particularly harmful to RVers who spend $100,000, $200,000 on an RV. Now you're going to get less of your money back. But that wasn't enough. They decided to go another step. Let's shorten the amount of time they have to file a claim. Okay, you think your 1-year warranty or your 2-year warranty or your 3-year warranty protects you because it says that. Well, in California, they're going to shorten the time in which you can file a lemon law claim, but they aren't even done. Then they said also, you have, before you can file a claim, you have to send a written notice that is required to be sent to the factory. One more step for you to go through. Now, suppose that you go through everything, you cross your T's, you dot your I's, and you're still going to pursue your claim. You can't pursue it by yourself without probably losing. You have to get a lawyer now because they've changed the lemon law to make sure that if you file a claim, they don't have to give you their evidence unless you've got a lawyer. Now you're fighting against a big corporation and you can't even see what they're hiding from you that they probably know could prove you're right, that you got a lemon. This California lemon law change is going to gut the law for RVers in California and anybody who goes there to buy an RV.
Oh my God, this is horrifying. And there's nothing, it seems like it's another example of money can get you whatever answer you want. And especially in California, I mean, I love California, I love the weather out there, and some of the people are really nice. But boy, when it comes to laws, I mean, there's some crazy stuff going on. And if I were General Motors, or if I was any of the 3 big RV manufacturers, I would be on my knees saying prayers that Governor Newsom signed that bill. And then I would say, what's next? That's what I would do if I was these RV manufacturers. Say, well, let's see what other state can we have an influence on.
Well, the church attendance by RV executives in Elkhart probably went up in the last couple of weeks.
Because this would be huge, a huge win for them. And I mean, what would it do? What would it do for lemon lawyers like yourself? I mean, you know, you're in, people need you now, a lot of people, but when you win, which is most of the time, you get some compensation back from these manufacturers that have built these inferior products. Is that going to hurt you as well?
Well, actually, it doesn't hurt the attorneys who are trying to enforce the laws. As a practical matter, however, what it does is it chops off the legal rights that the attorneys can enforce. So what you end up with is consumers, RV buyers who've got bad RVs, and if they don't act in time, it goes back to that snooze, you lose. You get to the lawyer too late, and now too late is a whole lot faster than it would be right now if this gets signed and passed into law.
Okay, so I buy a new RV. I've got a warranty, a 1-year or a 2-year warranty, and it's in writing. I got it from the dealer. There's the manufacturer warranty. This law would supersede that warranty. Even though I've got a warranty, some of the things in that warranty are going to be, not here in California.
Well, actually, there's different laws that can apply when you got a bad RV. In California, the state lemon law can apply. Okay, so what they're doing is they're gutting that. That's what they're going to try to do. That would then leave you with less legal rights to pursue. And under the other laws, the commercial code and whatever, you can't get as much, you can't get it as easily, which is why they didn't go after that. They already got that running in their way the way they wanted. They went after this because the lemon law is what costs them money. Under the lemon law, for instance, you can make a manufacturer buy an RV back. You can make a manufacturer buy a defective car back or a pickup truck or whatever. Mm-hmm. Under the commercial code, which is the law that you'd be left to try to use to get somewhere, you can't make them buy it back.
Oh my God. I also hear that companies like Thor and maybe some others are changing their warranties in 2025. And is there any is there any truth to those rumors, or what do you know?
Oh yeah. I saw a 2025 Thor warranty on a case just in the last week. And I read through it and I was amazed. I'm kind of used to RV companies changing their warranty with a little tweaker here and there and whatever else to try to cut off a little bit of what they can cut off their responsibility. This is a massive change. Thor has gone from a warranty that was just about like everybody else's to what I now think is the worst warranty in the business, simply because it makes so many changes that make it so much tougher. And the real thing about it is that one of the big changes they're putting in there will have a nationwide effect no matter where you buy your Thor.
Example. Tell me, I mean.
Oh, that's easy. For instance, it used to, in most states right now, if you have a problem with your RV, your obligation is to give them a chance to fix it. Their obligation is to get it fixed within a reasonable number of attempts or a reasonable amount of time.
Right.
Well, a few years ago, Indiana changed, and it became that you had to have at least 152 days in the shop during your warranty for warranty repair work, or else you had to have a same defect that would fail at least 3 times. So they made it a little tougher, especially that days out of service, because it has to be in the shop only for warranty covered work. Well, Thor has taken it one step farther with these new warranties. Now what they're doing is their warranty is subject to certain requirements, a whole bunch of them. One of them is you got to be able to prove that your RV had 3 repair failures on the same defect, and that the failure was caused by the same issue. You can have a problem that might be caused by 2 or 3 different component parts that put that together independently. Sometimes one will cause the problem to fail. Well, just one of those isn't good enough. You can have that failure occur 3 times, but if you have 3 different inputs and each one of them is causing it, guess what? You don't have 3 times for the same defect because you got 3 different causes. So they're taking it and making it harder, because it used to be, it was a matter of, did it work right? For instance, if your leveling system isn't working right, it doesn't matter whether it's the mechanics of the levelers, if it's the electronics, or if it's the hookups to the coach itself that's causing it. 3 different areas that you could have to cause that problem. Now, for it to be a, quote, defect for Thor under the law, it's all got to be caused by the exact same thing. And that's probably not going to happen as often as it is right now. And that's just the first one that jumps out. The 150 days in the shop, none of it counts unless you make an appointment. If you show up and you don't have an appointment and they work on it, guess what? That doesn't count. So it's as though the defect in the repair event never occurred at all. And worse than that, if Thor decides they're going to call something a goodwill repair instead of a warranty repair, that don't count either, even if it's all being done at the same time your warranty is in effect. In other words, you're letting the fox guard the hen house on what your legal rights are going to be. And that's just the beginning of what their changes are. They got all kinds of stuff set up. They've got days, deadlines for you to do certain things. And if you don't do it, you lose. If you want to complain, you now have to send it to a specific email address or you lose. And if you feel like you want to file a claim, you can't do that until you send a letter that has specific information in it by ordinary mail. And if you don't follow each step along the way and do each step within time along the way, you get thrown out of court. You lose. They don't have to do anything for you at all. And probably the worst part of it is, it used to be if you had a bad RV, a jury got to decide what they thought your damages were, what that was worth for you not having the RV you thought you were going to get, or having one that broke down all the time, having one that was out of service 150 days. That's 5 months out of your first year. Well, basically, if this passes, they're going to be able to say, 5 months is not long enough. If they had told you that when you bought it, would you have bought it? Probably not. But they've changed the damages on it too. Jury doesn't get to decide that the way they used to. Instead, when you send that last letter telling them that you're fed up and you're going to go to a lawyer or you're going to file a claim, well, in your letter, you must now prove it. You have to prove your damages. You have to show a mathematical formula that you are using to create the amount of money that you say you have lost. And even when you give that, they then have the right to show that it is not independently verifiable. In other words, they're coming up, they're pulling out all the stops. They're coming up with everything they can to make sure that even if you have a bad lemon, you can't do a lot about it.